It's so hot. I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, we're going to cut to the start. Yeah, this is going to be wild, guys.
Righto, so welcome into the bunch of the Patterson Pas Road race. This is a race I did while I was in the US. It's a total of 70 miles, but it's 3 laps of a 23-mile course. Each lap features these 2 climbs, this large sort of 20-minute climb, and then this steeper 5-minute berg. So as we start up the climb for the first time, I actually want to start by talking about the heat, because the heat was the biggest factor for me. Remember, I'm coming from Australia, from a winter, into almost 100-degree temperatures. So here is the Patterson Pas Road race on my calendar down in the bottom right. And amidst a variety of potentially missed sessions, you'll also see some sauna attendances. And really what I tried to do is to go a couple of times a week to give myself some acclimation to heat that I was going to face. So you can see there I'm going 2 times a week, and then the week before I left, I went 3 times. What did I do when I was in the sauna? Kind of like a threshold session. 3 by 15 was really what I was trying to do when I was in there. Can I just add, trying to film yourself in a sauna, it's probably potentially a no-no. Righto, let's fast forward to the second lap. We've gone up the big climb for the second time. We're just about to start this other one. Now, this is where the tactics start to play out. And I'm a bit sort of clueless here because I don't know who's who. I don't know what the teams are. But if you just watch the guy in the white who just sort of rolled past, it's almost like he's not attacking. He kind of just surges off the front. And this is the flow of the race. And I'm not used to that kind of racing where guys just drop wheels off the front of a race and let them go up. So I do find myself, particularly in this circumstance, I want to highlight this one, that I'm ultimately really just find myself chasing on the back foot pretty much the whole way up this climb. So one of the guys there who did initiate that attack just seemed to suddenly stop pedaling and ran back. And I'm in a really awkward position now, aren't I? There's a strong group by the looks going up the road on this climb. But my surge here, I've pulled 2 guys away with me. So I now have 2 guys on my wheel. I'm going pretty much full gas to try and get away, but it's not the full bunch on my wheel. It's just 2 guys. This is where the tactics thing is really confusing from my perspective, because I've got a few guys back there. That's a small group up the road. I swing off because one of the guys had just been sitting on my wheel. Get off the front. Yeah, because he's just been sort of sitting on my wheel. There's a guy behind who looked like he wanted to come, so it was just the 2 guys. He's just like, oh, I got a teammate up the road. I'm like, okay. Anyway, this is what I don't, and I mentioned this in a little bit with the chat with Tyler, but I don't quite mention that, don't understand that sort of tactics when we've pulled a chase group away and, you know, you only have like 1 guy up the road anyway. Why not at least, you know, make this something that's worthwhile, increase your odds as you get across. Now, the only thing is I don't know who maybe the other third person is, so maybe you don't want them to come across. But like, this isn't helping. Like, that's just a surge over the top to sort of slow me down. And yeah, that's just going to annoy me, basically. And I'll make sure this gap gets closed out of spite, really, when it comes to this. So I'm going to pull this back. I'm definitely going to get this, and I've basically saved my race. The other thing I'm going to do when I get across to this is I'm going to really make note of actually who these guys are, because it's become kind of clear to me at this point that these seem to be the kind of team leaders of their teams. That could be another aspect as why guys weren't chasing on, because they knew that they had their stronger guy up the road. So a quick note of actually who's in this bunch. Tactics is one thing, but fueling, oh my God, the fueling and the heat are the 2 most important factors. Drop bottle like that, spoiler alert, unfortunately, like, that guy doesn't win, and like, it matters that much in a race like this. Okay, so here's my strategy. 6 beta fuel gels, got some caffeine gels, and 4 drink mix. All right, so massive shout to Mark Tucker's son Connor, who was helping me out, but we had a little problem here. This is a little issue. He's probably expecting, there's my red bottle. Connor doesn't recognize me, probably thinks I'm meant to be in a Velo Kings gear, so I don't get one. So it's full panic stations. What do? Do I turn around? I can't turn around. Look, the bunch is already gone. We're halfway up this climb. If I turn around now, I'm gone. I've got to get a bottle. I spot this girl. There she is. I spot her. I go cut across, basically chop the guy in front of me, and I go straight for that bottle. I have no idea whether this is a neutral service, but love, you have saved my race. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And as we take the bell for the last lap, so you can see where the arrow is there, we're going to go through the bell last lap. This is real. So this is the moment the race we get away. Spoiler alert, we get away here. And it's really interesting because we've been bashing each other up on these climbs. And it's so often this sort of stuff happens in a bike race. Everyone's, this is the kind of chilled moment. This guy downhill, I wouldn't really even call that an attack. He just puts like half a dozen strong pedal strokes in. Now he's the guy that I saw go up the road earlier on. I see he's got state champs on his jersey. Another guy, again, funny how that happens. Just like almost the front wheel. I got a good run at them there. Was able to sort of go past the guys with a bit of speed. And this is the move. So it's on the downhill section as we come back to start the climb for the last time. So final time then up the climb, just coming towards the steeper section of the main climb, probably the last 5-6 minutes of it. And I'm starting to really feel pretty good. It's just the three of us now. We've dropped everyone else. It's the three of us. And I want to quickly show you, not necessarily the training that I did coming into the event, which wasn't great, more just the week that I arrived in the US and how I approached that. Because this was, again, like the heat being the massive thing, how to approach it. The rides that I'm doing, I'm just doing very, very simple low ZO2 stuff. The heat's like in the hundreds, the high 30s, almost 40 degrees Celsius. And it really wasn't until the day before this race, I went out with Mark and some of the Velo Kings guys in Fresno, and they did a little chop off. We had like a little 8-minute squeeze up one of the that is literally the only effort I did in this week preparing, just to give myself some sort of a semblance of intensity. And it's funny because in this last lap I felt really good. I mean, if the race finished up the top of the climb, I really would have backed myself to win the race outright. No two ways about it. Now, I did a full bike video after I came back from the US about how the bike performed and exactly how I'd set the bike up. So I didn't make any specific changes for this race. So it is the Chapter 2 Coco that I was using with the reserve wheels, Shimano group set. All that is in that video. I'll link that down below and just you can have a look at it up here. And this is why I still choose an aero bike for what you might think is a pretty hilly race. Gaps happen on uphills and downhills. And again, on the descent, I've done this descent now, this is the third time, and I'm super confident on this now. And having those nice wide tires, deep wheels, we are flying down this. There's no way we're being caught from behind. Right, a little bit of vlogger life here, trying to work out whether the camera's still on. This is the old GoPro Session 5, Hero 5, I think the really, really small one. Anyway, so that's a little note on how I recorded this, but this guy that I was away with, super strong now. As discovered later, he's a state champion in the TT. As you can see here, right? This is me trying to hold his wheel. Yes, I'm filming myself during the race. It's probably not the smartest thing to do, but again, like you can tell, classic TT, all right? Which, coming into the finish, now, this is potentially one of the worst sprints I've ever done. There's been a lot of really bad sprints, but I did think, seeing the way that this guy was riding, like maybe he's a full diesel, like just pure time trialist, and he's going to just have absolutely no kick. Turns out he has, but I certainly don't have any. And as we kick here, it's interesting. So he's already sort of putting down a bit of a grind. It's a bit of an uphill finish, you can see there, but I'm kicking like 800 watts there. So he's probably doing 1200 and just running away with like, but I'm not even moving. So really, really disappointing finish. I was a bit clueless as to how to finish it. You get a little bit more idea when you come into these races, having done them a few times. But he was a very deserved winner. But ultimately, I was absolutely stoked to get a podium. My first ever bike race in the US, no two ways about it. And I will definitely be back to do something like that again. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to whack that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to catch more of the Nero Show, just click up here on the right and down below for a couple more race videos. Guys, as always, I'll catch you real soon.